The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. I have 2:57 Eastern Standard Time, and at 3 o'clock, I will open the call. Everybody starts the call on mute. Okay? Thanks.
Sue, should I assume we're all unmuted now?
I'm going through and unmuting people one by one.
Okay.
People can unmute as they go. They can also mute if they so choose, but I'm just doing that. We've got 2 more minutes.
Just the opening screen, Sue.
Just the opening slide?
It just says Interstate Commission for EMS.
Perfect.
First, the meeting that's the April 20th.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure. Because I'm holding the attendance. Joe, do you want me to turn over control of the slides to you?
I'm just going to use that one slide, so if you just want to put that up and forget about it, we'll be good.
Okay.
That agenda slide.
You got it.
There we go. Are you going to take care of roll, Sue? Or Anthony or Andy?
For some reason, Donna says she can't see the attendance list.
No, I can't see anything but just weird.
I am running it in the format of a webinar. You should be able to go down under attendees and click on that.
It's not.
Can you send me the audio pin? Oh, I'll go on. Hold on. I don't know.
All I can see is the audio.
There's not a whole lot to see, and I have what I need. We're just gonna, it's just the agenda, what's up on the screen right now. And I can talk us through that.
Still a couple people signing on.
So is there a way I can see who's on the call? Or is that just at your end?
That's what Donna's question was too. And I mean, you should be able to see under attention.
But we're not, Sue. It's not showing up.
Okay. I'd be happy to list the folks that are on. I'm not exactly sure. I have the sharing of my screen is on.
Okay.
But
well, we'll know. So why don't we go ahead and get started? And if you could do the roll call first, just even if you know who's there, just repeat it so everyone on the phone knows.
Okay, right now we can have Elisa Williams from Mississippi, Andy Gienap from Wyoming, Donna Tidwell from Tennessee, Ernie Doss from Georgia, Gary Brown from Virginia, Guy Dancy from Utah, Jean Marie Bakehouse from Colorado. We have Joe Streeter from Texas, and Stephen Wilson from Alabama.
And is there any list of any public organizations on?
I have Thomas Breyer, Kyle Madigan, John Kramer, John Thomas, and Amy Keller. They're the only non-commissioned.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. And I promise you we will keep this to an hour or less, because I know it's Friday afternoon and nobody wants to be in their offices this afternoon. Maybe y'all up north, it's a little bit cold outside, but it's pretty nice down here today. It's in the mid-70s and the sun's out, so that's not so bad, you know? So welcome. As we get started, I'll just go right down the agenda here. We've done the roll. We have a majority of commissioners, so I know a couple could not make it, so we're in good shape there with a quorum. Any public comments on the agenda as written? Could I have a motion to accept the agenda as written?
So moved.
This is Donna Tidwell.
Second?
Georgia, second.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, let's move right on. Y'all should have been able to receive a copy of the minutes from the February 26th, 27th meeting in Tennessee. As written.
So moved, Georgia.
Georgia, second.
Second, Alabama.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody opposed? The minutes stand approved as written. Stephen, the treasurer's report.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I am happy to report that we have no funds available, and we do not have any bank accounts established currently. We are in the process of working on establishing an EIN number with the IRS. Working on that process and run into a couple of questions that I'm not quite sure the answer, and I am seeking Mr. Doug Wolfberg's opinion on that before I answer those questions. And as soon as I get an answer from him, we'll finish that process.
Fantastic. I thank you for that outstanding report, sir. Before we move on to Sue's report, has anyone else joined us that we did not recognize in the beginning of this call? Okay.
Joe House is on the line. He's working on his audio pin, so Joe House is on the line from Kansas.
Okay, cool. Sue, can you do an update on the advocate activity? And we're looking at a high level, okay? Because I really want to have most of the discussion on the scenarios today, but we don't want to cut you short either.
No, that's okay. I just want to talk about commission-related support that the advocate that I'm currently doing. Just some key points for folks while I've got you on the phone. The status statement for REPLICA, we've updated that. It had initially been posted last August. It was updated by the executive committee and reposted at the beginning of this week. It's also been sent on the SEMSO members. So it is on the website, and it just basically states, yes, we do have a compact, but it is not operational. Here are the things that we're working on, and we will, basically we'll keep everybody posted. It's on the front page of our website. It's been sent out through SEMSO. I'll link it out through the other organizations as well, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that was updated and that's present. I think that if we could get that also linked over to the registry's website, that would be helpful too. I wanted to just,
So before you jump away from that, are you going to reach out to Donnie about linking it, or would you want me to do that?
Oh, no, I'm happy to. I think that
Okay.
they get calls as well. So, this has been out there, but we just re-updated it. So I just want to make sure that we get maximum broadcast for this. So that's, I'll be happy to take care of that.
Thank you.
The second thing I want to talk about briefly is the website, specifically the compacted governance section. There is a section there that covers any of the meetings, final notices. I do the preliminary notice, as you know, by the bylaws. When we're having a regular meeting, a regular full commission meeting, it's a 30-day window and 10 days. So we'll do an initial posting like for this, and then 10 days out, if we're going to amend the agenda, we have a 10-day window. We'll do the final posting, and that's what the website will reflect. So every time we push a notice out, I will push it out at least 30 days. Actually, we've gotten these all up earlier. This is just for regular meetings. And then we'll, 10 days out, hit the button again, make sure we have the final agenda, and repost it. When there are public hearings that are rule-related public hearings, well, that's the only really public hearings we can have, that's a 60-day notice. So think back last summer when the notice went out late July for the meeting in October. So there is a difference in those, but just I want to remind everybody that, although all the notices are posted publicly, they are posted within the timeframes that are either in the compact, the bylaws, and both. We also, as minutes are approved, they get put up on there. So folks can go back and they can look at agendas and they can look at minutes. Agendas for the committees, like the executive committee and the rules committee, those have to be those have a 24-hour window for posting. So I put the dates weeks ahead, and then when an agenda comes up, it gets posted. If it not at 24 hours, much earlier than that. So I just wanted to remind folks that that's a key place that this type of information goes. Lastly, we're working on did somebody have a question? We're working on a webinar.
No, you're good.
Okay, working on a webinar with Rick Masters, one that will be, it's about interstate compacts and about Replica. So he and I have honed in on a few final dates, and I'll be posting that next week. I'll link it to all the national associations. So this is a webinar that we'll set up that will be open for everybody anywhere in the country that wants to learn about Replica, but also really wants to learn about interstate compacts. And it'll be recorded and will be available on the website. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, that's just another project that we're working on. We have the Replica News at nasemso.org that has been established. So eventually I'm going to take all the mailing addresses and put it in there, but when we post a notice, we go through NASEMSO, the Joint National Leadership Forum, any of our national partners, and then now I've got the Replica, Replica News at nasemso.org. So just as many places as we can to cover anybody who may be interested. And I add people to that list as they request it. Okay.
Sue, on that webinar, do you have any tentative dates yet?
We're working that out today. It looks like it will be probably the last week in May.
Okay. So I'm going to look at my
or after. So we're considering pushing it out after the next commission meeting.
Okay, and I'm going to look. I'll send you my calendar for that week just to see if I can be available for that. I'm not saying you schedule around me, but if it all works, I think it'd be good to have all of us on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing on your update, did you want to talk anything about the Q&A that we've been working on?
Oh, thank you. The question and answers document, perfect. Starting back, this is for all the time that we have been working together, even before the compact, we've been collecting questions that have been generated by folks. I mean, we have the frequently asked questions, which are the quick tidbits, but these were, ones that people wanted more clarification on. So we have finalized that document, and it's something that will be a living document and stay updated, but it was distributed this week to everybody that's on the commission. And Donna had some additional feedback. So if anybody has any other feedback, please, get it my way so that we can post this on the website.
And this one's a lot longer, gang. This is up to now 7 pages, and this is to help states answer questions, but also to help people get answers. I think you'll realize it to be a friendly document and a useful document as you go forward. Anything else, Sue?
Nope, that is it, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm doing my best not to pepper people with emails these days, so you only have to when you really need to. I do listen to what you say.
You know, Joe, this is Donna. I just thought of something. Maybe that would be a good place too. I mean, I know it's question and answers, and one of the questions is the compact active? Maybe that's the first question we put in there and put that statement about the compact right up front again.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
That's a great point.
Yep, I can do that.
This is Wayne. I've been on the call. I've been muted. I got in a few minutes late, but I was muted, so someone just unmuted me, so I am here.
I did unmute you. Yeah, sorry.
Hi. Well, welcome, Wayne. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions for Sue? And Sue, thank you for your ongoing support. You've done a tremendous job on keeping the bus rolling down the street, so we do appreciate that. An update on the agreement with NREMT. As the Executive Commission knows, I don't think the full Commission knows, is that we've been going back and forth a little bit on the language. After the meeting in October, we've really done some major rework of the document. We are conceptually on the same page, and it's just getting the final language with the attorney. So hopefully by May, when we get together, we'll be able to share the whole document and get a final approval before we sign it. As I promised, the full commission will see it before we sign off on it. But it's been great, and I know it feels like it's taking a long time, and I believe I can say it's taken a long time because we want to do it right the first time. So it's been a great partnership with the registry and with Drew and Donnie, and with input from Doug Wolfberg, our attorney too. I think we're going to have a good document that will carry us forward into the future. So we're not finalized yet, but we're getting real close. And just keep in mind, from the registry standpoint, they have been kind of crazy trying to replace the former executive director. So most of their energy has been in trying to do some of that and some reorganization within the organization. And I don't know, is anyone on from the registry, Drew or Donnie?
If I remember, they're in a board meeting.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be too. I didn't know if they were going to jump on. I just wanted to not miss the opportunity if they wanted to say something.
And I also wanted to let you know that Doug Wolfberg has been here. He's been unmuted. He's been here since early in the call as well.
Well, welcome, Mr. Attorney. How are you today, sir?
Good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
One of the few days you had off this month. I'm so glad you could join us.
I won't say that I'm off, but I am here anyway.
Okay, great.
Well, I'm off, but I'm normally off, so that's a different thing. But if you need me, I'm here.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay, so the whole real purpose for today's meeting is to kind of set us up for the meeting in May. And at our last meeting in Oklahoma, there was a lot of questions on what the compact can and can't do and how it impacts states and all that. So, after that meeting, obviously there was a lot of discussion at the executive level, as well as between us all. And I don't believe that to be negative. I just believe we're growing into our positions and understanding what we're developing here and understanding that we're going to have a major impact on EMS in this nation long after we're all gone by the road that we've been driving down here. So to get there, and Wayne, I'll be turning to you and Sue and anybody else next, but one of the recommendations, and I wish I could take credit for it, and I can't, but Drew Dobson came up with the recommendation that I thought was brilliant, is if we would all just write out some of the scenarios, like if I live in Pennsylvania and I now run on an ambulance in Texas? What do I have to do to become certified? How does the compact impact that? All that kind of stuff. And if we write some of these scenarios out ahead of time, the goal is to get you thinking now, get the input, your rough draft of your concept to Sue by the close of business on May 4th. And then when we get together in May at the meeting, we'll fine tune them a little bit in case there's any questions about where you're trying to get to. And then we turn it over to the attorneys and have some input with them and see if we're solid in this or not, or where the questions are. I think that will help Wayne and the Rules Committee as we're moving forward on drafting what we're drafting here. I think it's a good exercise for us all, and I hope, and the end result, I'm hoping that we'll be able to wrap our heads around this compact and figure out where we're going in the future with it. And with that, lay out the work plan where we have to go from there. So the purpose of today's call is to get the juices flowing, get you thinking about it, get it written down, and we're not looking for books of hours and hours of work, but get it to Sue, and then we'll massage it a little bit, rediscuss it at the meeting in May, and then move forward. Wayne, Sue, Donna, anybody else want to add anything? Andy, Jean Marie, anybody?
This is Wayne. One of the things that we've been working on in the Rules Committee that I think is complementary to this is a list of just the general questions that the rules are going to need to answer. And I think we're at a point now where that's probably nearly ready for prime time. So why don't you let us send that back through you, Joe, and then you can distribute it throughout the rest of the members, and that could very well help people kind of start getting their brain around what those questions might look like.
Oh, that would be fantastic. And why don't you, because I do not have a listserv set up, why don't you go ahead and send that to Sue and just copy me, and then Sue, do you mind sending it out to all the states? Sue, you still there? Did we lose Sue? Well, anyway.
At any rate, I will definitely do that. I'll work with Sue to get it out.
Yep, and just copy me in on it. And I don't know if Sue just has to push her mute button or whatever. I'm sure she's still here somewhere. And I think, Wayne, this will be a good lead into our discussion that we have in Rhode Island on, hopefully after that meeting that evening on the 22nd, we'll be able to give you what you need as a committee to start, drafting the rules as we go forward.
Sorry, Joe.
Sue, did you join?
I'm here. I fiddled with my my headset. Sorry. I'm here. I got it.
You fiddled?
Well,
Is that
I'm
like a North
broadcasting from the New Hampshire Technical College. I'm on their paramedic advisory board, and I just finished up a meeting, and I was monkeying with it. Sorry. Okay.
It's okay, Sue. It's okay.
So I'll follow up with Wayne. No problem.
Does anybody on the phone here have any questions about this process and what I'm trying to, or what we're trying to accomplish? And I think this will help focus us so that we don't have to, every time we get together, like kind of start over again. Okay, well, I thought there would be a lot more discussion than that, but that's good. So I'm going to take from the silence that everyone's understanding what we're trying to do here, and that we'll move this forward. Anything
Hey, Joe,
else?
this is Jean Marie.
Hi, Jean Marie.
I just want to reemphasize that I think this is a great move forward, because it seems like every time we ask one question, that is followed by 5 or 6 questions, and putting those questions in our heads around things, putting them into scenarios, I think will be an excellent exercise. So I really appreciate the energy towards this project.
Thank you, Jean Marie. Anybody else have any comments or questions on this topic? Okay. The next thing on the agenda was our commission meeting, which will be, I believe it's Tuesday night, right? Yes, Tuesday night at 6:30. Is it 6:30, Sue, or is it 6? I forget what we do.
6:30. I mean, we have a room. I don't have the name of the room yet, but we have a room. It's co-located with NSEMSO, starting at 6:30.
Okay, and we did 6:30 because we know most of the events are over at 5, so you can get dinner beforehand, something to eat, and then come to this meeting. It will be more of a work session, so I don't know that we're going to have the ability for people to call in, but if you decide it's a warm night and you have a pair of shirts and a t-shirt on, I think that will be acceptable. We're not going to be live on camera. Am I correct in saying that, Sue?
We're going to have a webinar just like this, as we always do, but no camera.
Right. Okay.
It's all audio or computer, or both.
Right. And then there is no rules being promulgated or approved that night. It's really, as I said, it's a work session that evening. And my plan is that we'll start at 6:30 and try to wrap it up by 9:30, but it really depends on how much discussion we have. Some of the things that I would hope to accomplish that meeting, obviously, is to fine tune these scenarios, talk a little about the rule process, and then Wayne, you'll talk about your documents you're putting together also, and then we'll work on planning for future meetings, and we have to talk about how do we do an election. Our 1-year anniversary will be in October. So is that our annual meeting? I don't know. So we have to figure that all out between now, by the time we get there for that. So we'll finalize that at that time, and it'll be a good meeting, and it doesn't warrant having a full day to do this. And this just worked out perfect that NSEMSO has a room available for us, so the cost is literally next to nothing. So this works well for us. Any questions on the meeting in May?
Hey, Joe, it's Jean Marie.
Okay.
I actually did think of a question on the scenarios. You were looking for, did you want an upper limit on anything? If somebody gets really going on coming up with 5 or 6 scenarios, do you want them to submit all 5 or 6, or just limit it to 1 or 2 so we don't get overwhelmed? Or were you looking for any and all?
I think as long as no one's offended, let's just collect whatever anybody gives us. Does that sound all right to you? Because you're going to be the one collecting all of this.
Yeah.
And then we can either, and hopefully what I suspect will happen, there'll be some similar questions from similar states. So we'll be able to just combine them into one. So let's not limit it. Let's just get what we get, and let's see where it goes. And by the way, let me just say to our visitors on the phone here, if you have some questions, feel free to go ahead and forward them to Sue also. And we'll take all this into consideration. Obviously, if we get overwhelmed with questions, then we'll have to figure out how we do it from there. We have another EC call before the meeting in May anyway, so we'll have some time to fine tune some of that.
Joe, this is Donna. Did you give us a deadline about how? I'm sorry if you did and I missed it. To
Sure.
have our scenarios Sue.
Close of business May 4th.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry if I missed that.
That's all right. I might not have said it. I might have just thought it. Any other questions? Anybody on that? Good point there, Jean Marie.
Joe, this is Dia. May I ask a question?
Dia, you can ask anything you want.
Would it be acceptable, if not desirable, to use fictitious state names or state A and state B and not name specific states so that that doesn't roll into a story?
Sure. Thank you for pointing it out. Yeah, let's keep it generic. Let's not use names when possible. Obviously, we want to know the name of the state submitting the question, but if we start saying, the Joe Schmieder ambulance and the, the ambulance, the next thing we know, we have people think we're talking about them, and that just becomes that nightmare for us all. So let's keep it real generic like that, please. Good catch, Dia. Any other questions about that?
Hi, this is Thomas Breyer, IFF. I understand the desire to not directly identify a state, but then by identifying a state but not necessarily an agency, then wouldn't other people know that that applies, so they wouldn't have to submit a question unnecessarily? Question mark?
So when I say the state, we need to know where the question's coming from, so that if there's a follow-up question on the question, it'll just make it easier to track down who asked the question. If everything's generic, is that what you're referring to, Tom?
No, I was referring to, say, somebody from some agency X from, I don't know, Missouri asks a question, and then, but you put it up there anonymously, but then somebody else from Missouri has that question. They don't know that the state A or whatever you put it down as is their state, so they may just answer the question, which would essentially necessitate more work in answering the question or pointing them, you know, just answering the email to point to them to the answer, when they could just go through and say, you know, the question was asked in this state, and then they could say, oh, that's my question.
So one of the things I don't think I want to make this a national ask a million questions. The first round of this is to get the commissioners to wrap their head around it. So if an individual organization has a question, I would ask that they go through their commissioner to do that. The folks on the phone, like yourself, Tom, I know that if you have a questions, I would like, you know, high-level questions. The one thing I don't want to do is, if we put this out for 1,000 to, you know, every agency in the United States, we're going to get thousands and thousands of questions, and we're not going to accomplish what we need to do. What we need to do is to get the commissioners on the same page, trying to understand what we're building here. So, you know, from the organizations that are on the phone with us and having this discussion, if you have questions and you want to send it in to Sue, that's fine. But I'm not looking for the IFF to send this out to every fire department, every EMS department in the United States, and ask them any questions they have, because I think it'll overwhelm us very quickly. Are you thinking that, Tom?
No, but I think your explanation has answered my concern. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And Tom, as you go down the road, Tom, if you have any questions about it, pick up the phone and give me a call, and we can talk it through a little bit. I don't want to stifle people asking questions, but on the same token, I don't want to get so many questions that we can't accomplish anything at a 3-hour meeting in Rhode Island.
Hey, Joe, this is Donna, and I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I thought the purpose of these scenarios was for us to look at what is the potential scenarios that could be determined to help to figure out what rules need to be created, but that the scenarios need to be reflective of what's in the law and not just arbitrary questions, that we're looking for specific scenarios to help us understand what rules that we may have to write and how those rules can be written to affect all these scenarios.
Sure, Donna, you're right. The purpose of this interaction is to get the commissioners to understand, as we start developing rules, the different scenarios that we need to develop rules for. On the same token, we have people on this call that's been at every single meeting and involved, and if they have a question that might help us better understand what we're building, I'm not against saying, give me your thoughts too. Does that work? Any comments at all? Okay. I don't know how to take that, if that was a good answer or a bad answer. Any other questions on the scenarios? So the homework scenario for the homework for the scenarios is directed to the commissioners to forward your questions to Sue by May 4th. Any of our partners are on the phone that if you have other questions that you would like us to consider, and this is about the scenarios of how things work. How does somebody, and I'm going to make up a scenario here as I used before. I lived in Pennsylvania, now I live in Texas. They're both compact states. What do I got to do to become certified? Do I need to have a Texas certification, that kind of stuff? So I think if this turns into a disaster, then I own it, I guess, and hopefully it's not going to be. But I think it is the right approach on trying to get the 12 commissioners on the same page. And any other questions about the scenarios or about the meeting on May 22nd? Man, I should have meetings always on Friday afternoon because everyone's so quiet. Okay, anything from the, I don't have anything else on the agenda other than public comments and adjournment. Anything from the public that would like to make a statement or comments to the commission? Are you all still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
The preliminary notice
Okay.
for May, Joe, the preliminary notice for the May meeting has been up since March 18th. So we're going to need to update that agenda and make sure that we've got everything on it that we need. So if members of the commission could take a look at it, I'll resend out the link to you. And if there's anything else that you want on the agenda, let's run it to the executive committee and get it on there, okay?
And then Wayne, you're going to send your document over to Sue, and then we'll get it out to all the states. And Wayne, how ready is that document?
It's fairly ready right now. I've just got to do a little bit of work on it and clean it up a little bit, and it'll be ready to go.
So is it worthwhile? Is it worth saying that maybe by the middle of next week?
That should be doable.
Good. I just want to make sure people have time to, build whatever scenarios they're thinking. Okay, I don't have any other public comments. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Hey, Joe, Mr. Chairman, this is Doug Wolfberg. I'm just going to direct this to Stephen Wilson, if I may. Stephen, if you're still on and you can hear this, I did get a message from you earlier, and you mentioned there was something you needed to chat with me about to get the EIN wrapped up. I will be available immediately after this call if you'd like to just circle back one-on-one to address those issues.
Sure. Yes. I'll give you a call when we get off of this one.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Anything else, anybody? Okay, can we have well, Sue, the next, let's see, what's today's date is the 20th. So May 4th is our next EC meeting?
Correct.
At 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central, and whatever it does in the rest of the country.
And again, the compact governance section of the website it says every Friday, every other Friday when the meeting has the time, and we always use the same phone number. Okay?
Cool. Okay, Gary Brown, are you still on?
I believe he is.
Yes, I'm here. I had to unmute.
Can I call you right after this call too?
I would be honored to have you call me.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Oh, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Georgia.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Donna. Thanks, everybody. Oh, any objections to adjourning? Okay, none heard. We will rest this call for today. Thank you, everybody. Have a super weekend.
Thank you.
Bye now.